Yeah, I think that's why I'm keeping myself off the celebration committee. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. You've been there before. You've seen it.
we got Bobby's in there good now, and we got Jay Bhattacharya, and fantastic. Let's watch. Let's see. I
Yeah.
have high expectations. I would share this on the public health thing because there's no way around it. I know you're in that space wonderfully and brilliantly, even. But again, I've got 30 seconds tolerance on the subject of chronic disease, and you got to say something about sugar or glycation, insulin resistance, some fucking thing. If you don't get to the heart of that insulin glucagon axis, damn near off the bat, I have I'm my disappointment runs to suspicion that you're part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, accidentally, perhaps deliberately, it happens within just a minute or so of
Mm-hmm.
ramble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we need to all post up somewhere and watch the 350-pound people waddle by and think to yourself, that's not pesticides, that's not microplastics, that's not genetically modified organisms, that's not fucking seed oil. And
Mm-hmm.
do I think those are things that we have a need for? Do I think those are positives? Far from it. But is that the place to start? Only if you want to see things only get worse. Don't paint a fucking dirty car,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's wash it first. What if it doesn't need painting? And so often that is the case. At a nice euglycemia, at a true blood sugar, and some exercise, problems go away. Crazy problems go away. You problems go away that you weren't made privy to until they went away. That's a standard kind of trainer experience, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And it's incredible because to your point, when so we have right now, my wife runs this 8 week. It's basically just an immersion into a CrossFit protocol because there's no diet, there's nothing like that, but you track your food, you know, you cut out all the carbs, we cut out the alcohol, we cut out the sugar. And they're 6 weeks into it right now, and somebody had wrote in and said, hey, I finally got my insulin control and they reduced my dosage. And they say if I stay on this path, I won't need it anymore. And it's amazing, right? Because I've heard that a lot over my 12 years of owning an affiliate and stuff like that. But every single time it makes its way through the text message thread that I have with all my coaches, and you would have thought that it was the first time we've ever experienced that. I mean, and even the conversations as we pass each other into the gym. Hey, did you hear about Chris Ann? Yeah, she's reducing her insulin. Yeah, they say that if it stays this way, she might get off it altogether.
Yeah, that doesn't get old.
It doesn't. And I tell you what, we didn't actually measure the amount of red dye that she was eating in her diet or seed oils prior to that intervention. In fact, we didn't discuss it. We said, get off the carbs, get off the packaged food, ditch the sugar, exercise 3 times a week, coming into here with your group, and eat the protocol that we've laid out in front of you. Yeah. And lo and behold, there you go.
You know, if someone came to me and said, I play squash 3 days a week, I ride my bike to work, and I don't care, paleo, carnivore, zone, you know, pick it. And they're interested in working with me, I'm keenly interested in the client. Am I keen to have a public health discussion with them? No. No. Do I think I can improve their squash game? No, I fucking know I can. That I'm positive. Do I think that I'm going to improve their life expectancy? No, I do not. I think they're on the smart side of healthy with carb restriction and activity that 99% of it's done. Can I make them a better squash player? Much better. They're a little different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the coolness of the space. And so the off the carbs, off the couch, there's so much there. There's so much turf covered, and so much potential for improvement in health. Um, that axis, that insulin glucagon axis, it's so impactful of all of the other hormonal axes and the functioning of the organism. It's such an essential thing that repaired gives a different scale to everything else that you might want to look at, including seed oils, microplastic, genetically modified organisms, or a fucking vaccine.
You're right.
Or two.
Jay Harold was saying it here, you ditch the carbs and the sugar, and you are very likely to eliminate a lot of the red dye in seed oils. And that's exactly Greg's point.
For a fact.
Exactly Greg's point. I wonder too, and you know what? So I don't know if you've seen much of them, like the Callie and Casey Means. But at first I was like, okay, cool. And you know what's funny too? Just as I digress for a moment, but every time I hear that, I'm like, what the fuck? Did they just read the L1 that Greg put out 20 years ago yesterday, and now they somehow got a shot at Rogan, and they're just, they're reciting it. They're almost there. They're almost there, but not quite. And when I was first listening to him, I'm like, okay, cool. It seems like they get it. And the more exposure they got, the more I heard a call to action to their partner, to their protocol, the more the conversation moved away from the off the carbs, off the couch, just to bucket that into that heading. And it moved into the arbitrary, seed oils and the microplastics, and it's really hung out there since. Do you think, and maybe I'm just putting my conspiracy theory hat on, do you think once that allure, that popularity or something gets involved with these high profile type people, that the mission almost goes secondary, and it's more or less like yes to brands, yes to deals, and yes to getting on to the next layer of a show that's going to give me more exposure and less about the movement over time?
I will a few things, and let me know if I do a good job of answering your question here. The sophistication of the food industry players, and I don't want to sound obtuse here. I'm talking about, if you want someone to stare at, American Beverage Association.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at any of these powerful organizations, and the sophistication of their operation is mind-boggling. And the amount of money they spend, and when they go knocking on doors at like the Keller Corporation, and they build these organizations, these proxies, and they litigate and they legislate, and they build these wonderful campaigns, and they have intelligent people in the graphics field that make their websites, and they get fantastic names on the masthead. And hell, it's Energy Balance. I mean, that sounds good to me. And it sounds like such good shit. And you see enough of it, and it kind of distills to this for me. I'm smart enough now, and I've seen enough of that to tell you how I would play the hand at, say, American Beverage Association.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be hard pressed to imagine it being played other than this. Okay, if someone wants to make a big stink about microplastics, I'm going to give them money. And then someone at my companies would go, "Hey, idiot, don't you know half the shit that we sell comes in plastic fucking bottles, or we're part of the problem?" Like, shh. Let's give him some money. Let's get him going. Let's fan this guy's flames. Microplastics guy. Genetically modified organisms. Give him some money. I'm going to give them some money. Pesticides. We've got a pesticide problem. We got the sugar cane thing. Shh. I'm going to give them some money. And I'm gonna fund the fuck out of everything except anyone that wants to talk about sugar and its impact on our physiology, especially with kids. Around those people, I'm going to make their lives hell. I'm going to make sure the New York Times and BuzzFeed and everyone else writes shitty shit about them. And God, that's cheap and easy to do. in the New York Times lifestyle section of the newspaper, you're going to find out horrible things about yourself and everything around you. I'll make those people's lives go to hell. But if you'll sing in unison, like teaching the world to sing in 3-part harmony, if you'll toe the party line and harp a bunch of other shit other than that, I'll keep you in the public eye. I'll give you grants. I'll help you do some science. And that's the state we're in. And so if you get up there and you got a lot to say about pesticides, and you got a lot to say about microplastics, and you got a lot to say about genetically modified organisms, and you keep harping on about highly processed foods, highly processed foods. You're not talking about sugar. I have a big problem with you. I have a problem with the lost opportunity. I'm suspicious as hell as to where every cent you fucking get comes from.
Mm.
You remember that? You seen that thing where the chick's got the nail in her head? And she wants to talk about everything but the nail in the head? That's the problem.
Yep.
That's exactly the story. How many people know this? Fucking tons. I'm watching them get old and die.
Mm-hmm.
Generation after generation that knows, that understands. We saw where the sugar people, the people that were, the cardiologists that were onto the sugar thing got paid the equivalent of, what is it, 50,000 in current dollars, $4,000 to change the focus to fat. We've seen it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is all part of the public record now. Who cares? Very few people.
Mm-hmm.